live. So sorry, a couple of minutes late. We have a doggy that's not doing too well, so I had to wait for a vet to get back to me. Anyway, my topic this evening, and I'm live this evening on YouTube and TikTok once again, but afraid to start over and why it's not too late, even if you've been burned before. I'm sure throughout life we've all been burned at some point in time, right? Hi, Nikki P. Thank you for joining. What if, just hear me out a moment, what if the reason you feel stuck isn't because you're lazy or lost for that matter, but because no one ever gave you the right plan? Anybody sense that or feel that in their lives? Hi, Greganfi and GPaw. Does that stand for Grandpa? Thank you for joining. But, let's talk about the fears no one really actually talks about. You know, I'm one, I'm too old to start something new. Nothing has worked before. you know, uh, why would this work this time? If you've ever felt any of that in your life, you're not alone. We all have skeptical thoughts in our minds, right? Hi, Ann. Thank you for joining. You know, uh, or I don't want to get scammed again. I'm too tired, not just physically, but emotionally as well. If you've ever felt any of that those things I just mentioned, honestly, you're seriously not alone. Are you? And you're exactly who this conversation is for this evening. If any of you fall into that range, drop ready in the comments if you've ever felt stuck and afraid to try something again in your life. Type yes if you've ever said, I'm too old for this. I know I did. Anybody else ever say that? Maybe you felt too old, you don't want to start over again or anything in life, but the fears we never really say out loud. Hi, Jan Green. We never say out loud. Let's be real. Most people don't talk about this. We say we're busy or it's not the right time. But underneath that, we're scared. What if I fail again? What if I waste time and money? What if this turns out, Rob and TPC and Mountain Man? You know, what if I waste more time and money in my life? What if this turns out like all the other opportunities I've heard about or tried? Comment, trust. If you've ever been burned in the past, hang on one second. I got a call. Devices. I am not techie. I've said that since day one. Um, Aw, thank you. I appreciate that for the badges and being loved. I think thank you so much for that. You know, but if you've ever been burned before and you felt used, I should have turned off the phone for that part. I apologize for that. Somebody keeps trying to call me. Could be the vet. I don't know. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, I'll reach out to them when I get done. You know, you know what? I've felt that myself. Um, I've been working for over 4 decades, 44 plus years just in real estate alone, not talking about prior to that or even after that, and still having to go back to work. I thought, oh, this can't be all there is in life. Seriously, starting over again. But honestly, it wasn't. I just never found the right path or a better system. I didn't. I didn't even know it existed, to be quite frank with you. You might be saying to yourself, I'm not techie. Trust me, I am definitely not techie, or I would have made the phone not ring during this live. But and it rings on my iPad and my cell phone and my computer. I should have made it shut up beforehand. But anyway, but I'm too exhausted to learn something new. Anybody think like that? I'm not cut out for this digital stuff. Hi, Tony. I don't even know what I'd be selling. So guess what? Anyone care to guess? Because that was exactly all my thoughts. I really felt that way. You don't need to be techie. You really, really don't. You don't need a product. I don't sell products at all whatsoever. Hi, Pete, and Walmart bag. But you know, you don't need to sell anything. You just need a system that does the heavy lifting with you, not because of you. Big difference. That's the beauty of what I really love, just the fact that I don't have to chase anybody, call anybody, or do any of that. Hi, Ray, ever. And I don't. I did enough of that in my years in real estate, was constant with, always having to recruit and follow up and bother the daylights out of everybody. I hated that. But it was a necessity in the real estate industry at the time when I was doing it. But you know what? I want to ask you, I want you to ask yourself this question. What am I afraid might happen if I don't do something different in your life? I got to move this. It's facing the wrong way a little bit. Is that better? I hope it is. Ideal. And my huggy, I think it said. And dear somebody, I missed the last part. But anyway, you don't need to do any of that stuff. But what would my life look like 1 year from now if nothing changes? These are questions I was asking you to ask yourself. Think about that. What would you be doing a year from now if nothing changes? Would you be in the same position you're in? Would it be better? Would it be worse? Hi, Benjamin and Robert. Only you can really answer that question. So that's why I asked you to think about those questions. What would it look like if it did change? If something did change for you? Hopefully the better, but what if it didn't? That's another thought. I can't choinch. I don't know, probably pronouncing your name wrong as well. But sometimes the scariest thing is staying exactly where we are and nothing changes. More that could be more frightening depending on the position you're actually in now than not doing nothing to improve or make something better for yourself. It's up to you. So if I'm taking my eyes off, I'm trying to do both screens at the same time. So I don't want to exclude anyone. Hi, Gardy and BJ. BG. I'm sorry, BG. So anyway, ask what's holding you back. Let's talk about that. What is holding you back? Only you can answer that. I'm just I'm planting thoughts in your mind to think about that sort of thing for yourself. I am Marie and Clint, and I couldn't read that name. I'm on TikTok. You're on my cell phone, so the print is real tiny. And as far as YouTube, that it's a little bit larger the print. But anyway, I I didn't jump into this expecting success. I really didn't. Hi, Gary. Blank, especially having been scammed and burned and working my rear end off for decades. So I didn't have any expectations except concerns that, what if this is another one of those scams? That wouldn't be too cool. That I didn't care to see or hear about. But I mean, these were genuine thoughts that run through anybody's mind. If it ran through mine, I'm sure it's running through yours as well. But But what what I did find wasn't just a program. It was a structure, a blueprint, but it gave value and solid step-by-step information that blew me away, honestly, because I didn't expect that. Because most of the times it's, when I was doing real estate, it was here's the phone, you're on your own. That was my training. Isn't that lovely? And then the different programs out there that offered all those wonderful stuff, but they ended up being a get rich quick scheme. And that was a disaster in itself. And the time you invest, not to mention the money to get burned, that's something that is a horrifying feeling and experience. So it makes people withdraw. And then it's when the right thing comes around, you don't trust. And unfortunately, sometimes that lack of trust or in checking things out, exploring it for yourself, you can miss out on an opportunity. Yeah, so that's something that, those are thoughts that ran across my mind. And I really gave it some heavy thought until I finally did take that plunge. And I'm thankful I did. I really am very grateful. Hi, Macchio, and Robert, I guess, short for is the way you spelled it. But you know, it was having structure, organization, and tremendous support. I was blown away because that was, a shocker. I didn't expect that, and the training made it so that I now am certified and capable of mentoring anybody because of the wonderful training I got. And anybody can get that training in addition to mentoring. So that that was a change. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. I had my eyes wide open, and I definitely felt that, don't be closed minded. Keep an open mind. My eyes are open. My mind was open. And I'm thankful that's how I looked at it because if I went in assuming, and we all know what that means, and I can't say that on lives, but the reality is that unfortunately, too many of us judge things versus learning and getting your facts and seeing for yourself that that's where I'm grateful I didn't. I did explore, but I didn't hesitate. And I'm thankful about that. But, and that gave me, 100% profit each time, helped me work and taught me how to master only a couple hours a day. And anybody can squeeze in a half hour here, 15 minutes there, and do it. I did it at my leisure because I look at it this way when you go for a job, job, and you're being trained because you don't know what's expected of you. You may think you do, but every business company runs differently. You have to fit within their guidelines and their ways of doing business. So, in comparison, doing something like this with the training, I look at it as educational. However, as I'm earning. And that was a blessing because there's no pieces of the pie taken away from me at all. It's 100% each time. So that was encouraging. And to work from home at my leisure. If I wasn't in a position that I couldn't, due to health issues, work from home, I would still engage in doing something like this as just to escalate and build up more supplemental income because you can never have too much, especially look what's going on with the economy, inflation worldwide, and what's going on with AI. That's another issue that people are losing jobs. So, you know, and now, most of all, I got my peace back. Peace, income, training, things I blow myself away with that I thought, oh my goodness. And my theory is it's not a theory, it's reality. You're never too old to learn in any way, shape, or form in life. So I'm in 73 and I started in my 70s. So here's what you really need to know some facts. in 2025, which we're all in now, is 43% of white collar jobs are considered AI, artificial intelligence, replaceable. 43% in 2025. Automation is now used in customer service. I'm sure you all are get on the phone when you have something you need to talk to somebody and you get that AI, digital something answering the phones and you can't get to speak to who you want to speak to, right? But anyway, that and you could be yelling at it if you're on hold for a lengthy period of time, and more often than not, you are. But so many businesses have resorted to that because they're saving money. Their assembly lines are gone. So now they use the automation and save themselves quite a bit of money at our expense because if they don't need you, you're gone. And that's happening in so many places. But it's not only customer service, writing, research, even healthcare now is being run predominantly by AI. Thank goodness AI isn't doing your surgeries, but it's doing a lot of the background stuff, that we have to order, whether it's prescriptions, phones, you name it, it's doing by 2030, which is only what, almost 4.5 years away from today, right? Hi, digital biz Ziggy. Gigi, I'm sorry, and Dennis, but by 2030, nearly half of all the jobs will be impacted by AI, artificial intelligence, and that's a fact. As I said, I don't make these numbers up. I do a lot of research before I come on because I don't want to pass on information that's not correct. I don't believe in that. But the people who do understand how to leverage automation instead of being replaced by AI, they win. Hands down, they win. And I show people exactly how to do that, even if they have zero experience. I didn't start with any experience in this department, this field. I didn't even know what digital marketing was when I first came into it. But anyway, think of your current situation like standing in front of a locked door. You have the set of keys, a whole bunch of keys, but you don't know which one is going to open the door. You try one and it doesn't work. You try another, and none of them work. Eventually, you just stop trying, you quit. This system is the master key in a major sense of the word because it's already been tested, it's refined and simplified, not built from scratch. I mean, that's heaven right off the bat. You don't have to rebuild it. You don't reinvent the wheel when it's working. If you know of anyone that this could be beneficial, tag them if they need to hear something to this nature. There's so many people now unemployed or right on the brink of being unemployed, and many don't even know. Hi, user and David. They don't even know they're next in line. I see it happening to a lot of friends, even family, that are concerned that because mergers took place and they're cutting back on budget with their budgets. And it's happening everywhere, all around you, not just in the United States. This is going on worldwide, everywhere, seriously. So, because as I was saying, if you're still watching, you need to hear this message today. You know, you don't know. Sometimes things are subliminal, but you don't have to say yes today and you don't have to decide anything right now. It's up to you what you do with your life. I'm just passing on information that may be a solution for you too. But if your heart is kind of tugging you to just take a look, go to my site and check it out for yourself. You deserve to know what else is possible. We all should know our options, not after something occurs, before. Never wait till it's too late because then the panic buttons, you know, go off the charts, right? You know, you are not too late. You're not too much. You're right on time for a better path. If you're ready to explore it, you know where to find me. So, anyway, does anybody have any questions that I can answer before I do hop off soon? By the way, it's Fabulous Friday. Anybody have any great plans for the weekend? Or are you working? What's everybody's situation? Anything? No? Okay. Well, if you don't have any questions, I will be back on Monday Eastern Standard Time, same time, about 5:30 ish p.m. Eastern, as I said, Eastern Standard Time. Uh, if you do have a question, shoot me an email. I'll definitely get back to you and answer your question. And or uh, if you would like an invite to one of our webinars for free, let me know because that will give you a lot more information in depth. And it often has Q&A. And as I've mentioned in the past, I'm going to be scheduling a Zoom for a handful of people. So I've just been mentioning it each time. So if anybody is interested to get to know me a little better and vice versa, or have questions that maybe don't want to announce on a live, then that would be your time because it'll be a very intimate group, 10 to 12 people at most, and I'll be doing them frequently. You know, different people at different times. So feel free if you're interested in something like that. You know, just go to my bio, put in your email. I don't bother you, but I will say send you the information as to when I'm going to be doing the live, and I will send you the link to invite you. So, hey, Bernie, how are you? So, anyway, if anybody has a question, feel free. Otherwise, I will be back definitely Monday, same time, same channel. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, blessed weekend. Hi, Joel. So, take care, stay healthy, and be safe too. Bye bye now.